Welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. It's the platform we intellectuals use critical thinking, reason, and logic to discuss a wide array of topics that affect our community, either directly or indirectly. I am Freshly Snipes. I'm just here to get my shots up. Uh, Vulcan to the left,
Sir.
introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to get into the topic today. We've been going through this video for a long time, the God fraud, breaking down different topics as far as organized religion and Christianity and all how that affects the Black community. So I'm excited to go through this thing and decipher it. Please feel free to answer any questions. All you Vulcanites out there, all you Vulcanians out there, we're still working on how to word that part.
No, we're
Please,
not.
Folks, all my folks.
all the folks, all the folks. Okay, is that what we're gonna do,
We're not.
folks?
Folks.
Yeah. Please feel free to chime in.
Call them the volcanoes.
The volcanoes. Hello, baby. It's time to erupt out here in these streets.
That's off the top.
That's fire. Yes. He knows. Like my partner said, we're here to break down and explore ideas and get a deeper understanding of the world that's around us. To join us, as we take this journey of discovery. So let's expand our minds together. Yes, sir. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it, man. All right, how we looking? All right. There we go. All right.
Question during the break. Dr. G, go, and then we're coming to Valentine.
Yeah, Bobby said something about organized religion, and the question I have is that many people say I'm against organized religion, and I'm just wondering if a group of people organized good without it crossing over and getting corrupted by greed or some thirst for power. Because it seems like when you hear the word organized, it should be neutral, but it seems like it turns hurtful. So I'm just curious. I don't know.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Doc. Bobby, you wanted to answer that, and then we're going to Dr. Valentine.
Well, I think there's a very important relationship between organized and organic. And if we trended more toward organic, we'd have less problems with organizations. Because if there's something common that we have is that we're born to die. All right. And there's some other commonalities. If we built along those lines that would survive universally, all this other divisive things that we run into, then we wouldn't run into the problems that we face when we deal with religion in this organized form.
And typically, whenever something is organized, it's organized along a linear path. One thing about spirituality and relationships too, it's non-linear.
Can we pause this real quick?
You understand what I'm saying? I have a goal to get to God. No, you are God and have.
Yes, sir. Speak on it.
You love that speak on it thing. We're gonna work on that later. But so the thing is that my issue when he says this.
We're doing this now.
Do this right now, because you've already built this, climactic, think about what I'm gonna say, and I'm like, I might not be saying.
I got you. I got you.
Speak on it. Now I'm like, I was gonna just say, can we start it all over again, please?
Yeah, I got
But anyways, so he's talking about this linear and relationships. I never got that. I know that's something we've talked about in the past. I never understood it. I would venture to say that the mind only works in a linear way, period. It's one concept after the other. You're connecting dots. So I don't get this linear and non-linear thing. I'm sure there's a way in which we can make something non-linear and make it linear, depending upon how we want to plot it out, right? So I'm really curious. He's not gonna get into that in the video, but obviously hierarchies are arranged, or organized religions are arranged in a linear fashion because that's how the human mind works.
I was gonna say that's how human society works. Out of every chaotic situation, regardless of how chaotic it is when it begins, at some point in time, it's a natural human instinct to organize it, to streamline it, to make it make sense.
Yeah,
That's how the universe works. Even if you believe in the creation theory of of universe creation, then it's organized in a certain way. Everything falls into a certain pattern. But then, even if you believe in the Big Bang Theory, out of chaos, apparently naturally, with no creator, with no one touched it, the universe automatically organizes itself to work the best way it possibly can. So, is he suggesting that organization is the enemy, i.e., oh, religion is bad because it's organized and it's organized linearly. Excuse me. I would challenge him to ask what is not organized.
Yeah, I can't think of, whether it's the Japanese lady who goes to people's house and organize their homes, to declutter their homes,
Yeah.
to the person your assistant, to whatever somebody who's organizing things, they're going to do it step by step.
Even people who are not naturally organized just in their lives or their work lives or their home lives, we as a society recognize that it's a problem. We tell them, like, listen, your life quality will be a lot better if you get organized.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my room would get real messy. My mama, clean up your room. All I would do is take all the trash in my room and put it in one big pile and go piece by piece to clean it up.
Exactly. It's systemic. It's systemic. It's systematic. This works like this. This is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
We are like-minded people. We believe our natural hierarchy always forms out of that. And I would challenge him to ask. I would love to ask him. Listen, man, you showed me something that's not organized, but is also successful, and then we can have a talk.
Facts. And then when it's organized, how do they organize it? Was it I guess whatever he means by linear, step by step process, or was it like, they just kind of threw stuff out there and it just kind of organized itself? Like, we're gonna just throw things out, in a scattered away, and it's gonna naturally be in a scalable model. That's not how things work. So
the definition of organized is arranged into a structured whole order.
Facts.
And again, I ain't knocking it. I just want to go deeper. I don't like when we listen to some of these gentlemen or women who just say things and they don't, no one challenges them based on what they like. No one requires them to be intentional about their words. Like, I want to know, like, okay, so if organization is a problem with religion, do you show me a religion that's
show
not
me disorganized religion that works?
Yeah.
You only got two types. You got organized and disorganized. That's the only two available.
Listen, and if it's ring your mouth. Get him. All right, you get back to the video.
Yeah, let's back to the video, man.
Have been God every when and every now. Do you understand? Like, you don't have to get to what you are. You've been that. And even your scriptures in a rudimentary way will validate that if you were reading it for that purpose. Remember, whatever the thinker thinks, the proof.
Pause.
I just want to point out that when we started this video, at the beginning of the video, he is going to pretend that he is analyzing religion objectively. But when you utilize other competing religious beliefs to counter the belief of the religion that you're talking about, I can't believe that's objective. So if you were going to say it doesn't make sense that you worship a deity that you can't see, and here's why, and you give me facts, metrics and studies, okay. But if you say you can't worship a deity that you can't see because you are the deity, okay, well that's a competing theory. That's from another religion.
Yeah, that's definitely not Judeo-Christian. That's not Muslim, Christian, or Jewish.
Yeah,
right there at all.
And that's the thing though. My again,
we are wholly
talking about
deity.
Judeo-Christianity. We talk about like, what are we talking about? We talk about the Abrahamic faiths. Because if I'm going to argue something, I'm not gonna say the sun is bad because I like the night better. That don't make no sense.
That makes any sense. Yeah.
I just want to point that out because he's going to do that a bunch of times, even though he feigns objectivity at the beginning of this.
Yeah, but when he says this, like you said, you don't the sun and the moon. That's considered balance. So you have the sun in daytime, then you have the night, the moon. It's considered balance.
What is
So
that? What is that?
Yeah, I would just draw a line under that considered.
so that's not considered linear. I'm just going off some of the things I heard in the past. I'm just building this together.
I would just use that as an analogy to point out that you can't argue against one thing by arguing for another and claim objectivity is what I'm saying. That's so I wasn't really using the analogy to go super deep. I was just saying he's arguing against a monotheistic
definitely
viewpoint with the viewpoint from another religion.
Yeah.
Not, it's not like, oh, I have a problem with religion and here's the facts why. It's just like, nah, I believe something else.
That's basically what he's doing.
Yeah. I believe in that.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about objectivity and analyzing, being analytical about things, you're just challenging one belief with another belief. Neither one of them are actually one is, but we're not going to go into that. Neither one of them perfectly proven scientifically or logically. So it's just like, I don't like that theory. I like this theory better, as opposed to I don't like that theory. It doesn't make sense, and here's the why.
And what he comes across is I like this theory better because it's not the other theory. Not like I like this one because it's not that one. And which again, historically, y'all, that's not out too far. On the wayside. I mean, like historically, I forgot the guy's name, but when Charles Darwin came out with his theory, his evolutionary theory and stuff like that, there was a guy, I can't remember his name right now, it escapes me. He goes, the reason why we believed in this was because it was not creationism. That's what he said. We just believed because it wasn't there's only alternative belief that was available to us. So we had to believe this one. So I definitely would say that, that's what this guy's coming across. We can get back into the video.
Proof, and you've been programmed to be not only a sheep, but one who is blind. So you can't even see the shepherd, but you're so willing to follow the shepherd. Valentine, talk to me.
You talked about belief. I took a belief as a form of conditioning, a form of preemptive consent, something that has to do with a conceptual reinforcement, along as you were speaking so eloquently about linearization of an idea and a behaviorism. So when we talk about we believe in Jesus Christ, pretty much most of us, if the boys in the Christian house, came up with that belief, not knowing anything else. And if they did not have any exposure to any outside catechisms or any outside cultures, that's all their world would know. And so Christianity tends to set up its own antibiotic, its own defense mechanisms by telling you that if you were to stray outside of these constructs, these belief constructs, then you are imperiling yourself. So they kind of put danger signs where there never really was dangers. And so we are headed towards, like you say, sheep. And what is a sheep except the ass of the other sheep in front of it? And doesn't know anything beyond that. So I wanted to touch upon belief as being a kind
let's
of
pause it right there real quick.
I
know we're pausing like this, we'll never get anywhere, but I'll make this short. The thing about every type of structure, organization, from the organelles in our bodies to organizations like Google, obviously there's always going to be this emphasis that to stray outside of it is potential peril, right? That's just how every organization works, because you can't ensure the safety of something when you walk outside of its borders, whatever it is. So there's always going to be that emphasis in an organization to say, hey, look, stay within our confines. Now, there's a healthy way to do that and an unhealthy way to do that. I'm not saying every place does it the most healthiest way within the context of religion specifically, but it's a very common thing, and it's not altogether bad. I mean, like there's a very prominent a scholar who brings up the fact that there is safety in groups. The Bible talks about there's where there's a multitude of counsel, plans will not fail. You got to think historically when people were out there in the in the wild, and they were having to deal with snakes and tigers and bears, all that kind of stuff. There's safety in the group. And everybody may not understand that. Now, to us, it's common sense for safety in the group, but not everybody within that community may understand their safety in the group. The kids may not understand it. Some people that like to live on the wild side may understand it. But the reality is that it's very well known scientifically, sociologically, that there's safety in the group, and that when people coalesce and when minds come together, there's a lot more safety there. So I just bring it up to say that, it's not a religious thing to have that parameter there. That's just a human thing. That's an organism thing, from cells to humans to bears to apes, to
Wait,
whatever you
what?
want to.
You said organism? When we're talking about organization? Holy smoke! You're blowing my mind.
So yeah, I think that people just have to recognize that that's a very common thing. He's making it a very religious concept when it's just a part of being on this earth.
Again, when they are talking about, when they're espousing the perils of stepping outside of their chosen belief, i.e., autotheism, right? God is self, man is God, I am God, within myself. They're basically saying, you guys who don't believe like this are stepping outside of the commonly held belief amongst us, and you are in peril out there because you don't know what's going on. Again, you cannot.
You're blind.
You're
sheep.
blind. You don't know anything. It's dangerous out there for you if you don't believe what I believe. He's countering another religious belief with. He's countering a religious belief with another religious belief. There's no objectivity here.
Yeah.
He clearly has a problem with Christianity or organized religion, even though he's gonna spout multiple tenets that are used by organized religions and beliefs and faith systems, philosophies. Like, what he's gonna quote? It's just weird. It's not weird. It's expected. I need to stop saying it. It's expected. We know that these type of dudes do this. They count on they count on you on the masses bandwagoning.
And all the folks out there, I do want to say that, by weird. Well, I'm gonna ask you this question. By weird, what do you mean by weird?
I retracted the weird because it's not weird. I meant that it doesn't make sense to me when people do that, but it does. I'm operating in a certain mind frame because when I come from an objective standpoint, I'm just looking at it purely scientifically, right? I don't really roll in a whole bunch of my personal experiences, because how do you remain objective in that case? So when he feigns, but when he feigns objectivity at the beginning of this video, and then he crashes into attacking Christianity with another organized religion.
I would venture to say disorganized religion.
Yeah, disorganized. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, but my point is,
you can't research the religion that he's a part of. You can't research it. You try to do it. You try to Google it. You're not going to find much on it.
It's just
it varies person to person.
It's a belief system. So he believes that, and he says he believes that the man is God. So you're God within yourself. So you make your own decisions. You have your own rules. But there's a group of people who believe that, and there's a set of beliefs that people who espouse those beliefs adhere to. It's not like he's the only person that's ever said something like this. He's clearly getting his information from somewhere else. He's getting his information from another organized belief system. That's kind of what I'm pointing out.
Yeah,
it's not. He doesn't have something against organized religion, especially because we just talked about everything is organized in some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're talking about universal chaos coming out of a big bang and a universal explosion, cosmic explosion created things that work in concert with each other, seemingly for no other reason than the fact that it makes sense. So I just want to point that out, that he's going to continue to do that throughout this. So he's counting on people who already have something against Christianity or other organized religion who don't like certain tenets of them that don't work for them in their personal lives. He's counting on them just hearing it and be like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like this either. I'm mad.
Yeah,
As opposed
I'm
to
mad.
what he's saying, making sense of analyzing.
That really
Most
grinds my gears as
really
well.
grinds your gears. And that's called the bandwagon fallacy, right? Listen, that's how rumors are started. That's how rumors are spread throughout any organization. Is somebody says something that is either untrue or true, and someone else who generally doesn't like that person or doesn't care for that person, meaning they don't care to do the research, they don't care to dig deep, they don't care to go ask the person, they're gonna spread it. Oh yeah, I heard this. I told you he was.
Mhm.
I told you she was. This is what's happened. It's the bandwagon fallacy. Get to the end of that stick when it get back to the person of interest. It's like, what?
Yeah, definitely.
That's not even part of what I'm talking about. Go ahead. Let's get back to the video.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see that's the point.
The environment reinforces each and every day through television, through your mama, through everything. Now, if you come into an understanding and overstanding based upon first-person experiential realities, we don't have a first-person experiential reality. That's spiritual. We only are dealing with a second person, a second-place referential reality, which is some guy called Jesus is supposed to be giving us some kind of vicarious atonement through us believing in him. So we in the African community or in this society alone are only conditioned through secondhand experiences based upon hearsay, what we hear teachers say, what we hear mama say. But when we leave all of that, which we are told not to, which we are made fearful of, we come into a first-hand experiential reality, which then now becomes something that you touch with your microbes, with your own atoms, with your own molecules. Christianity, religions, and so forth is always about imposing a second-hand experience on you. And you now, because there's nothing else to experience beyond that, you now accept it as a first-person reality.
Wow. They make the intercessor all important. I'm going to go to Bobby right after this quote from my favorite philosopher, J. Krishnamurti. One is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end.
Indeed.
Bobby, speak on that.
Well, what I do know is in 60 years, I come to one basic conclusion. That is, there's only two principles that are irrefutable, right and wrong. And innately, I think I can always say that at some point beyond the age of enlightenment, I knew when I was doing right and I knew when I was doing wrong. Now, however I shaped that and molded that or qualified it.
Real quick, I just want to point this out. Like he said, the philosopher said, one is not afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known. Like my reverend brother Charlie Clips would say, nigga, that's the same thing. What is he like? Just it doesn't make sense, because if you leave the beaten path to go explore the unknown, it is the unknown. If the known ends, you are now in the unknown.
I hear you. I definitely hear you on that.
It's just like, let me say some, just because you don't understand what he say don't mean.
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh man, I'm right here with it. That's all I want people to do, man. Just listen to what he's saying. Actually listen to it. Put aside your prejudices or your preconceived notions about the subject, right? If you clicked on that because you were like, I agree with him, at the very least, listen to him. Make him make a good argument. That's what we talk about on the show, man. If you agree with him, at the very least, hold him accountable for making it make sense, as the kids was here today. Make it make sense. You can't just say stuff. I mean, you can. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You can't just say stuff. But here come the Vulcan stunt to say, listen, let's slow it down. Slow it down. I just dissed you. This man is saying the same thing. Gang, 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 gang. All right, man. Let's get back to it.
Let's get it.
That are disqualified somewhere inside of this body, this mind, this spirit, this soul. I knew when I was doing right and I knew when I was doing wrong. And I can remember when I first questioned form of religion, it started with Jesus and the biblical story of Jesus, and the inconsistencies with what Jesus did allegedly and what the practitioners were doing.
Right.
Jesus had a craft. Jesus had compassion, and he didn't pick a day of the week to practice his craft or his passion.
But you know where the confusion comes, Bobby? You just hit on something very powerful.
Pause it real
And it
quick.
speaks to the point you made before.
I just want to make this point in short. Like, again, this is where critical thinking becomes so critical, because I've seen many people lose their faith, question their faith based off erroneous ways of thinking. So just because Jesus is the picture of perfection is one way, and his practitioners are not a one-to-one correlation to him, you question the whole thing.
Let me correlate it real quick for you, Vulcan. You have a child who is created in your image, and as that child grows, you teach them everything that you want them to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get out to the world and they start doing all types of stuff, right? They do, even as they're growing up. They're not. Once you teach them, they're not going to get it every time.
Yeah, no.
Listen, I got a 9-year-old, man. This dude been having the same morning routine and night routine his whole life. I still have to tell him to go do it. If I don't tell him, if I don't have him come down and put up his electronics, man, that man will sit up there past 9 o'clock. He ain't got no alarms, no nothing. He's not perfect. He's not like Vulcan said, a one-to-one reflection of me. I am teaching him. He is imperfect because he's not even a finished product yet.
He's not.
And my point is, when you challenge a religion as if you challenge it because the tenets of it.
Let me step in quick, because I want to speak to something that you brought up in one of the shows we did in the past about the hypocrisy fallacy.
Yes.
That's very much akin to what this guy's doing. He's going, because people who are claiming to be of Jesus aren't practicing it the right way. They're hypocrites in what they're practicing. That means they're false. That means it's false. That's not a logical way of going about it. So I just want to say, like, again, this gentleman right here, you know, much respect for this elder here. But my point is just saying that that's why I encourage all the folks out there that as you're listening to this, understand sometimes this doubt, this wavering belief starts from an idea that's illogical. It's not even that shouldn't have been a reason for you to question anything. You did it because your mind wasn't sound. Your mind is flawed. It's human. It's replete with fallacies and inconsistencies and holes in it. And so now you're going on this dark path based off something that you should have never thought. It should have never popped in your head in the first place if you had had a more reasonable, more sound mind.
Exactly. Listen, man, you raised your kid to do a certain thing. He got out here and he did something different than what you raised him to do. Parenting as a concept is flawed. Kill the whole thing. That don't, like, if you equate it to things like that, it makes no sense.
We got comments, just so y'all know. I'm gonna read the comments.
It's help the bear. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. I can't believe anything out of his mouth if he's black. And bandwagon fallacy or racism.
His gum's black.
I hate the back of Whoopi Goldberg's neck.
Yeah, the question: bandwagon fallacy or just racism? Don DeMarc. Anybody want to answer that?
I mean, to be honest with you, racism is a bandwagon fallacy. In and of itself, racism coupled with discrimination. I'll say that. Racism coupled with discrimination. I don't want to equate racism with discrimination, but really discrimination based on racism is a bandwagon fallacy. Yeah, somebody told you that they're not good because of how they look, and you was just like, yeah, I'm on board with that.
And pardon me for being a technical one, but I mean, it would be hard for me to ever go along with just racism because most things in life aren't just one thing. Partly because most things in life are comprised of other smaller things, right? Like my refrigerator has water, it has electricity, has all the other things, has compartments, it has fruits, has all of these things that comprise what makes my refrigerator, right? So is it this or is it just a refrigerator? Well, just the refrigerator has a lot of other stuff going on, right? I'm only saying that because I'm looking at a refrigerator right now. But so going to this just racism. Racism includes discrimination, includes biases, right, based off race. So it includes so much in the terms racism. You know, it includes systems. It includes people. So I would never really be comfortable with just something most of the time because the just limited to less than what it actually is comprised of. And so I would say for the folks out there, that could be a false dichotomy, bandwagon fallacy or just racism. Could it be both? These two concepts are not mutually exclusive. They could exist at the same time. So
yeah, that's what they call the binary thinking. So we try to encourage our folks out there to be lean more towards the spectrum thinking. So,
well, I'll say this: binary thinking's good in things that are binary. Like if I say can't, there's can and there's can't. That's binary. That's fine.
Mhm.
You know, up. You know, and down.
Yeah.
You know, there's things that are binary, but not everything is binary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so we got to know when the proper time to use. That's what the false dichotomy is, creating a false die too. You know, just like you know, binary too. It's one of those things where sometimes the two is not legitimate. There's more than just two. We just got to recognize that whenever being forced into a two, that's not actually a two. It could be just a one. It could be two things that are one.
All right. Have you ever heard of the beard fallacy? No, help the bear. I haven't heard of that. You have to educate me on that. All right.
The beard fallacy?
It's weird that when alternative lifestyle people.
Yo, you wigging right now.
Wow.
Alternative lifestyle people got a little cover up.
Jesus was compassion. Jesus was forgiveness.
Love.
But his daddy was punitive. And if God is punitive, how then can the parishioners that follow a punitive God not be? This is why unforgiveness is, and this is how I wrote this in the book. Unforgiveness is like a.
We covered this already, you know, so I hesitate to say it again, but I'll make it short. Again, I'll make it short so we can get through this. But again, he just said Jesus was forgiving, Jesus was all these things, but his father was punitive. If the father is punitive, how can not the practitioners not be punitive? But that's a contradiction. I want the folks out there to hear that. Folks sound like folks. It's kind of cool, you know. So yeah, the folks out there to hear that. No.
Not just
so the thing is that. Think about it. He just said that the son of the father is not punitive, right? But he says if the father's punitive, then all the practitioners are punitive. You just contradicted yourself. You just named a practitioner who wasn't punitive.
Exactly. Keeping in mind that he's saying like the problem with Christianity is that y'all ain't like y'all savior.
Yeah, it's like no, just keep it real. You just don't like Christianity. We get it, man. We know.
Just say who hurt you, bruh.
You get your shots in. You get your licks in. We get it, man. I feel you,
man. Who hurt you, man?
A time machine that only goes one way, to the past. It keeps you holding on to it, right? Most of us don't even follow Jesus in the way of compassion, in the way of unforgiveness, or in the way of forgiveness. Most of us don't even do that.
Hippity hop, mob stop. Did anybody hear a time machine that only goes backwards? Can you imagine every day you wake up this last week?
Hey, pause real quick.
Bro, I would have cut this
Come on, man.
Editor, bro.
Come on, man. I feel like they said us that for the white guys like these niggas is dumb.
Yo, if I was editing
Let's keep it real, man.
As my man Butterfly would say, man, this is nasty work, man. This is crazy. Hey, listen, it's so over the top. Like, I was like, bro, like,
take that icy chain off, man. You embarrassing us, cuz.
Hey, man, you been my man for 15 years, man. You ain't gotta have your head up my ass. Come on. No, you only been with me 10 years. You keep your head where it's at.
Don't say dumb
Come
stuff.
on now, dog.
Come on now,
Come
dog.
on, man.
Come on, man.
Stop. I would have cut the whole thing out.
Oh man. All right,
Oh,
video. We good.
wow.
Video. What's good?
Oh my God.
That's okay.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Please do not talk to me while I'm high. I can't deal with it. I mean, I'm not high right now, but when I'm high, I can't deal with that. Every day I wake up, it's the day before yesterday. Oh my God.
But that's most people. This is why they can't see. We live in a culture that's quick to get over something, but not get through it. No, I'm over it. No, you're not. That wound has a security team that's better than Obama's.
Wow.
That wound is protected.
Yeah, but a lot of people function that way because when you get deeply wounded, you just want to survive while you're getting wounded, and then when you get past it, sometimes you think, I don't know how I made that through. If it ever happens again, I won't make it through.
It'll destroy me.
So a lot of times it's kind of like I wrote a book on PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I want to redefine it more accurately as re-traumatization avoidance, because a lot of people, when they've been deeply traumatized, all their symptoms afterwards are an effort to avoid being re-traumatized because they think the second blow will kill them for sure.
Wow. Dr. Phil Valentine, do you think that religion contributes to our post-slavery traumatic disorder?
It tends to forgive the transgressor and does not allow for closure. In other words, when we start speaking about closure and we talk about the reintroduction or the revisitation of our trauma, Christianity is constantly telling us about somebody who got their asses whipped and nailed to a cross, and that he was continuing to forgive. And listen, just because you got whipped and nailed and castrated, you can end up forgiving. So then, if you now accept this religion that says that Jesus has absolved you of all sins, just go ahead and dip your face into this water, and I absolve you of all sins. Everything that's going to be happening from now on is within the blood of Jesus. You've been washed in the blood of Jesus. Everything has been forgiven. That's why black folks ain't got one goddamn cent of reparations yet. Everybody else got it, and everybody's telling us get over it. But now everybody who didn't get over it, the Japanese, the Jews, everybody got reparations for what it is that were done as an injustice, so that there was closure. But for African people, there is no closure because no one is actually coming to the point where we are addressing those past transgressions so that we don't have to have this conversation constantly every time.
Wow.
Black folks are having this conversation because we have no closure.
Wow.
And we don't seek closure now because we've been washed in the blood, not of our ancestors anymore, but of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Real quick,
Listen,
pause it. Well, we've already done this, but I just want to point out that what he says is not a substantial point, because if you look at any of the major proponents of black folks getting reparations in America, I would hazard a guess that at least 50 to 60% of them are from the Christian-based faith. He's intoning that Christianity or organized faith is the reason that we haven't gotten reparations, is because apparently Christians have not been taking the government to task. Apparently Christians don't believe that we need reparations because, all is forgiven, we turn the other cheek. Listen, man, he said forgive. I ain't mad at you. That don't mean you can't pay me what you owe me. So basically you said if somebody owe you money and they hold out on it for a long time, when they come and get right with you, you can be like, you know what, man, don't even worry about it. Or you can be like, I mean, I would never hold you against that, but go ahead and hand me my $50.
Yeah, go me that 50.
Yeah, great. I mean, you good now, though, right? We straight. It's all love, man. It wouldn't hurt me, but does that mean I no longer want my $50 back? No, it doesn't. You can't, man. You just
they just getting their licks in. That's all it is. Getting their licks in.
That's all it is. That's
Jump
all it is. Listen, he's talking about Christianity as if any belief system doesn't work like that. He says basically because you, our deity, the deity that we worship, got your ass whooped and nailed to a cross and all that good stuff, that now we have to. If you subscribe to this faith, and it's like, that's how that works. When you follow when you follow a belief system of any sort, You follow the example of the hierarchical deity, leader, boss, king, whatever. If we deem this guy the best of us, the shining example,
Yeah.
whoever it may be, the queen, the king, and this is natural. This is natural. If I'm the strongest man in my in my human group, and we're back in the rock age, the Stone Age, people are gonna walk like me. They're gonna wear their hair like me. They're gonna like the young are gonna emulate me because I am the shining example. I'm the protector. I'm the person who has been set on that pedestal. It's how all belief systems work. If you believe in anything monotheistic, even if you're not monotheistic, even if you're pantheistic, you still set yourself as an example for each one of those deities that you worship. Like, you know what, this deity would do this in this situation, so this is what I'm gonna do. That's how it works. This is not an objective analysis of religion, of organized religion at all.
All right, we got more comments. Only wound Zoe had is Freeze taking his hat off, and that sloppy beating he gave Aries Spears. Hilarious.
That is.
He said sloppy.
Right, let's get back. Another comment for Help the Bear. He says, as many times they pass them collection plates around the church, but they don't want reparation.
Make it make sense, man. Come on.
All right.
I go to break. Krishnamurti, another quote. Apply this to your religious view, how you see religion. Religion causes us to be very judgmental, very black and white, right or wrong, good and bad, left and right, God and the devil, good and evil. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence.
Yeah.
Seeing things for what they are, not for what we think them to be. Oh, this might be good for me. How many times have you found out that something you thought was good for you was actually toxic? Just because it felt good didn't actually mean it was good for you. And converse, just because it felt badly doesn't necessarily mean it was bad for you. Again, you can't just break life down into some linear black and white movement. Everybody likes to do that. But guess what? That tends to attract the conflict you're seeking to avoid. When we come back, the God Fraud Show continues. Hot heat. We'll be back.
Hot heat. That heat is crazy.
Sort of heat that's other than hot.
Oh my God, how he has a rap career is beyond me. I don't get it. And he takes his shirt off. Oh my God, he looks like 50 pounds of chewed Tootsie Rolls.
All right. Now you are in white fashion. You know, white boys always leave the house like they're gonna help somebody move.
People wonder why is your church? Why does the IRS? I want to start this out with.
He's definitely irritating for an intellectual.
In the passing of his father.
Yes, it is.
Love out to y'all.
Can't
Comfort
tell
out to
him
y'all.
a bit agitated.
His father. With that said, religion. I was carried in church as a baby. Come on, you got to search far and wide to find a black atheist. We all have been indoctrinated with this. My problem became, as I like to say, most black people are born Christians. It starts to unravel when they learn how to read. People wonder why is your church? Why does the IRS give your church such breaks, especially when they have 25,000, 30,000 members? This is a reward for keeping 25,000 physical people on point asleep. When you look at, gotta get into this.
Did he say the tax breaks are a reward for keeping 25,000 people asleep?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean? First of all, where's the 25,000? There's a crap load more Christians in America than that. What's this arbitrary number you just threw out there? What does he mean by
that? He just likes 20, likes 2 and 5, and he's put some zeros behind it.
Especially because his whole thing is that we not all follow it really like we're supposed to.
Say 25,000. Yeah, that'll get him on my side.
On my side.
Yeah,
like, y'all not even. he just made the point before this, like y'all not even following the religion like you're supposed to. So we not all doing the same thing. How is the church as an entity keeping us all on the same path, and we not all on the same path? Make it make sense. These Christians ain't even doing what they supposed to do. But the church is
all
getting
the
that.
time. Shout out to my mother's friends who watch the show, who cannot stand me, who squirt blessed oil out of riot hoses every time I come around. Yeah. Oh yeah, I get sprinkled. Show me the zodiac. Show me the zodiac in the Bible. It's all through the Bible. 12.
Job chapter 38, verse 31.
Okay.
Amos chapter 5, verse 3. Job chapter. It's there.
It's there. It's all there. It's all there.
They left it untranslated.
Exactly.
Meseroth. Get your concordance, lexicon, Arabic, English, and Hebrew lexicon. Meseroth. Look it up. It's the Hebrew word for zodiac.
Well, here's what's going to happen.
Sorry.
The next time we all get together, especially since you light skinned with green eyes, they're going to love you until you open your mouth.
This beautiful
yes,
devil.
Jesus is number one. No, actually, he's 11th. There are 10 stories that predate Jesus. Your very Bible that you love, but you denounce Egyptian mysticism. It's made up of that. How do I know? I went to Egypt and I read the book. From cover to cover.
Real quick.
Black
I'm gonna say one thing.
All right.
If you are watching this, this is a perfect example. And I don't know why I didn't think about this before. This is a perfect example of how surface level the things that they say are. He asked you to get your reference documents and your reference books out and look up the definition of that word. If you look up the Hebrew translation for zodiac, it's actually not Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth is the Hebrew translation of constellation,
which has nothing to do with the zodiac.
Nothing to do with the zodiac, except for the fact that they both deal with stars. But this is what I'm saying. The example that he put out, he said that real quick and moved right past it because he's expecting you to say, you know what? That does make sense, and not try at all. This is an appeal to ignorance fallacy. I am saying things that are going to appeal to you because I know that you don't know and are not interested in actually going to find out. You can do a quick Google search, go down that rabbit hole if you want, but Mazzaroth doesn't translate to zodiac
at all.
At all. At all. He just said that because he knew the people who are already on his bandwagon.
He said it with so much conviction and so matter of fact. I got to get like it really is compelling. It really is. Like, you know, I almost like, you know what? I don't care what the dictionary says. I believe him.
The first time he said it, I was like, let me go look it up.
Hey, you got to factor in the green eyes too, man. You got to, you know, that's got to mean something in this conversation.
Why you say that?
Because, come on, man. You got green eyes, man. That means what he's saying is at least, you know, mostly true. He you know, he was closer to the massa. You know, he got the
biblical Hebrew Mazzaroth. The Hebrew transliteration is a biblical Hebrew word found in the book of Job. He said this. This is one of the examples that he used, and literally meaning constellations, according to 10th century biblical exegete Sadiai Gaon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so easy.
31. It said, or lose the belt or Orion.
It's so, and I'm, bro, this is why I'm irritated. Because there's people that watch this and be like, yeah.
Yeah, what? You ever seen that Boondocks episode? What he said. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Just throw a chair. It's like, and
exactly.
And the funny thing is, here's the real funny thing. He told y'all to go look it up. He gave y'all to keep his own demise, knowing y'all want to.
But that's a good psychological ploy because that means you're not going to look it up now. You know, like,
listen,
you got to look it up. It must check out.
The venerable
another comment. Help the Bear said, it amazes me that people that don't really understand the Bible tell Christians what it says. Especially, the word is concordance.
Concordance. Thank you. Help the Bear. Listen, the venerable Chris Rock said, if you want to hide something from niggas, put it in the book.
Put in the book.
stop at a few spots. I don't know, Ephesians 6:5, where it tells you to obey your master as you would Christ. Just Isaiah 45:7. I am the Lord thy God. I create good and evil.
Light and dark.
Yes,
All of this is
all of
done
that,
by me.
all by me. Shout out to
let me pause it
shout
real
out to
quick
the gay
there.
couple.
Again, all the folks out there. Why is this important to bring up what he's bringing up right here? It's not because there's something wrong with what he's saying or wrong with the scripture that says that. It's because he knows, and we should be ashamed of it, that most of us have never really read that before. Most of us never really said the context of that. And because it's shocking to hear that. Oh, slaves obey your masters? Oh, that's shocking to hear.
Especially in today's social climate.
Exactly.
That slave thing is a taboo.
Slave was not controversial in that time period, and most of human history, and slavery is still going on today. Don't forget that, everybody that's listening here. Slavery is still going on today.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to understand, like, that's the only reason why it's shocking. And that's one thing I remember, like, when I was dealing with Nation of Islam people or people like that, they would quote stuff from the Bible, and then the Christians would be like, what? And they would be like, yeah, I did that. I did that because they're quoting something that people aren't aware of that's in there, and then shocking them with it. And it's like,
which allows them to quote those things out of context because
exactly
it's to appeal to ignorance. I know you don't know this, so I'll get to shape and form this information however I want.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, so when the person's like, well, you got to show me that's in there. They'll show what's in there, but the person's not looking to see the context of it so much. They're looking to see if it's actually in there. Yep. So when they see, wow, it actually says that. Dang, that's crazy. I didn't know. Now they're questioning things. Because the person's sleight of hand was very, very good.
And that's why they give you the exact scripture, because they know that you're going to go to that scripture, that 38 scripture, you're going to read it and be like, it is in there. Close the book and run off instead of reading the chapter. Read the whole book, reading the whole verses. You're like, oh, it's in there. You said it was in there. That's so crazy.
So I'll cover the slaves obey your master thing really briefly here. So we got to understand, y'all. Slavery was a universal institution for most of human history around the world. And so when Christianity comes about, the Bible talks about Jesus didn't come to be the next King David, to rule as a monarchy. He came on a donkey. He came to rule a spiritual kingdom, to change the hearts of men, to change the minds of men, the souls of men. So what that means is he didn't come to uproot whatever kind of political systems that were in place, socioeconomic systems that are in place. He wasn't trying to make anybody capitalist or Marxist or make anybody's pro-slave or anti-slavery. His message, kidnapping has always been forbidden in the Bible, the Old Testament too, which is how Africans got here. It's always been illegal to kidnap. A lot of that stuff's always been illegal. In the Old Testament, after the 7th year, slaves were to be freed. And those people that were slaves sold themselves into slavery. They weren't looked down as less than, like in chattel slavery we had here. A lot of times the slaves married the daughters of the masters there, and they had children. And sometimes the slaves could even have more property than the master had in those time periods. And that was a good thing to do. If a drought was coming and there's no HEBs, there's no Kroger's, there's none of that kind of stuff. If there's a drought coming, it's better to find somebody that has wealth and go work for him. You sell yourself into slavery and you live under their roof. You marry their daughters, and you live a life like that. That was a common thing. Bond servant, slave, however you want to word it. But in short, I just want to say that. So when Jesus Christ is talking to in the Bible's talking to people when it comes to slavery, they're saying, hey, as you as a Christian, do not bring reproach upon the name of Christ by trying to take the social cause and try to uproot what's going on already here. Your job is to change the hearts of men, not to change the climate politically and stuff like that. That's not our fight. So yes, obey your master. So far, it doesn't contradict the laws of God, and minister the gospel to people and people to be saved. That was their role. Yeah. Just like you might have somebody a cop might go undercover, and his job isn't he's seeing illegal activity happen all around him. Is he arresting everybody while he's undercover that he sees? That's not his job. His job is looking for a particular thing he's trying to get done. It's no different than an undercover cop.
Yeah, everybody have different roles. I would like to point out when he said that, God created good and evil. One thing I could say about all the religions and all the spiritual practices, the Bible does actually, how can I say this? Give an account for that versus other religions, and that's the problem with pantheism. That's why the religion has been criticized so much, because they can't account for suffering. The thing is considered God or whatever, considered good. So so that I just want to point that out.
Yeah, this is the point that that they're about to try to make about our God, or I won't say our God, but the God of Christianity, creating both sides of the coin.
Mm.
So it's like, how can he be good if he created both things? That's what a creator does.
Yeah. And
That's
so I want to speak to that real quick too, just to give the audience a little bit of understanding of that. The word there is Ra, if I remember correctly, and when it says that he creates good and evil, just because he creates good and evil doesn't mean he creates good and evil in the same way. So how theologians have looked at that is like, they use the example of the sun. When the sun shines, right? But when it hits certain objects, it casts shadows. So the sun, somebody could say the sun created a shadow, but not in the same way that it creates the light. So in the same way that evil is created when the goodness is absent, just like coldness, we can't measure coldness in physics, right? We measure heat. Cold is the opposite of heat.
Is the absence of.
Yeah, evil is the absence of good. And so that's how, when the scripture is saying that he creates by certain things standing in the way of and hindering goodness and God's grace and mercy and his goodness, those things create evil. If God removes himself from certain things or removes his grace from certain things, the evil that is always present there will start to manifest in a more potent way. And so that's historically, and that doesn't contradict any other themes in the Bible. It's a way of reconciling all of it together in a reasonable way when you read all the text. So everybody understand, it doesn't mean he creates it in the same exact way.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Those that for whatever reason want to get married to a God who seemed to invent you just to hate you. Figure this shit out. I'm done.
Wow. We're back in the building. That was his intellectual rant with slight interruptions. I apologize. Again, before we get back to the brother Dr. Phil, let me hit you with more Krishnamurti quotes. Tradition becomes our security when the mind is secure, right? Wait a minute. Tradition becomes our security, and when the mind is secure, it is in decay. Your mind, boy, okay, we're going to go deeper. To understand the immeasurable, the mind must be extraordinarily quiet and still. You can only be afraid of what you think you know. I'm trying to tell y'all, religion is not, or God is not something you can practice. Most people say, I'm a practicing Christian, I'm a practicing Muslim. You can't practice being God. You got to be in alignment with Yoda. Coming from Zoda, do alignment you must be. Do or do not. There is no try. You can't try to be religious. Either you're in alignment with the universal source of all that is, that don't have a name, that don't have a gender, that doesn't have a comprehensible understanding that we can articulate.
Bullshit you niggas are on.
Dr. Phil, speak to us about the vastness and the inability to articulate God and what it really means.
Yes, I had the privilege in my young age to sit at the feet of Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti, twice. And it was an awe-inspiring experience. Of course, there was nobody black around me at the time, just me and a whole lot of white young people at that time and older people. But there are three parts to what we as humans can conceptualize, visualize, as well as internalize. And that is the known, the unknown, and then that variable called the unknowable. We, in the known, or what we believe to be the known, strive and scratch away at the unknown. And in our quest to bring the unknown into the known, we are, in visceral manners, experiencing that which is unknowable. But we are the unknowable. We are the unknowable in its quest to know itself, because being unknowable to any and everything, it is also unknowable to itself. And it is through the known and the unknown that it participates with itself. And our ignorance is part of the being, because without that gap, there is no bridge, there is no incentive for us to quest in self-knowledge. So when we teach about that, we bring ourselves into a place where we are questing towards self, where in that Krishnamurti taught that all our thought processes should never be towards outside, because we create thoughts that then become our burden. That pre-thought that we think, that we believe something is happening because it's happening to us or it's against us or whatever, look at that thought from the thinker's perspective and not what the thinker thinks the other person is thinking and actually attacking them with. So what Krishnamurti is saying is that your thoughts, if you are allowing them to go out of yourself and to take root in something that is an illusion, then you will be trapped in that illusion. But if you, through the observer, curve that thought back to yourself, you will see that it's actually you that is modeling your own world.
Dr. Phil, I gotta ask, man, when are you coming? I dare you to come to Los Angeles and not let us know. I know you don't have time. I know you don't have time to do a free commercial for you. Y'all got to go and YouTube Dr. Phil Valentine, Lucifer. I know you don't have time to break it down.
Yeah, we got time to go into the devil.
Can he go? Oh my
the
God.
Devil is
I don't know, man.
The devil is the greatest scapegoat. The devil is the greatest scapegoat for personal responsibility.
Oh my God. You got to
He's the perfect victimhood excuse in all situations. Corey Holcomb just walked in the building. Corey, we talking about God, the God fraud show. And we're talking about the Bible, religion, its effect on the African American community, its effect on our relationships, the whole 9 yards.
And
man.
them pimp glasses you got on. Them glasses.
Speak to us about it, man.
If it wasn't for God, right now, I wouldn't be here today. Ain't that what black people say?
When they get the award.
Give it honor to God.
They give all the credit to this God. And the main thing I always get into arguments about with my brothers and sisters is I tell them, everything you telling me right now is something that somebody told you.
Ooh. I call them the regurgitators.
You are forcing your family tradition on me. I don't like that.
Oh, listen.
Everything is secondhand.
Right.
We got a powerful sister on the phone right now. Before I tell you her name, let me give you another Krishnamurti quote. The constant assertion of belief.
I just don't get that secondhand. I'm not able to understand what they mean.
Yeah, go ahead, because I was gonna bring up that. Yeah, go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, no, I ain't have much on it. I'm just, we talked about this before. I mean, first knowledge from your parents, whether you had a job, most things that you learn is from somebody else. I just don't get it. I don't get why they keep bringing it up. That's not a valid point. It's just it's confusing when they keep saying that.
The vast majority of knowledge is secondhand knowledge. Any book you read was written by somebody else.
Just them talking, they're speaking English. The secondhand. Them saying it's a secondhand. It's secondhand.
Even these concepts that they're espousing are all secondhand.
He's reading Krishnamurti quotes. He's reading these quotes online.
Man, that's secondhand. He got his stuff.
I will say this. I will say this in their defense.
Okay, all right.
There does seem to be some type of allure to what he's saying. I mean, like it does sound true if you don't think about it. Like it feels. I'm gonna say it feels true on some level. Like that recognition that like you didn't learn this yourself. You learned this from somebody else. On some level, it does kind of make you second guess what you learned, and there's something to that.
You should second guess the things that you learned. You should research.
So, more of the empirical belief. You saying is that what they speaking on? Empirical.
So y'all just wasn't gonna tell me that I was on here with my school. Huh? Don't worry.
It's tough because you were saying you said the empirical. I mean, it's like I remember reading stuff like if you were to wrap your DNA between the Earth and the Moon, it can go back so many times. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna wrap my DNA around the Earth and the Moon. I'm just taking their word for it. Like I'm assuming someone did the math and figured out how much my DNA can go around the Earth to the Moon. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And am I gonna put my life on the line for it? Probably not. But I mean, I believe it to be true. What they're saying, tentatively, and so. I think they're making too much of this secondhand information thing. It's true what they're saying, and that's why the audience, the folks out there to hear is that like I'm not saying what they're saying is not true, but just I want everybody to think about all the things you learned from your parents, from your teachers, from your siblings, from music, from TV, that you never went to actually trust and verify. You never went to go sort. You just kind of accepted as tentatively true. So I mean, like that's a part of being human. It's not a perfect process, but it is a process. So I just want these guys are demonizing organized religion for it when that's pretty much how most of the information we get comes to us.
Including the information that they're giving you, that they're giving
including what they're giving you right now.
Including you, because you.
So yeah, audience, folks, as you're listening to them, that's secondhand.
Exactly, man. That's crazy, man.
Belief is an indication of fear. Oh God!
That's dope.
I got Christian Murphy on deck.
Boys are really feeling themselves, man.
Veronica Conway, call us back. We need Veronica on this line. Call us right now, 855-878-4652. Listen, let's go back to our initial conversation.
I claim the devil.
Again, people are afraid of the devil. Listen, you got the word devil. It's English. First, let's go back. Let's talk about belief and faith and all this, man. Belief, the root word is Latin, belie. To give the lie away as a gift from me to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Middle English, Bellalosian. The lie is a gift from me to you. That produces our English word belief. If you spell it, you see BELIEVE. The root word
that
of believe
is not how etymology works.
The next step is
You're gonna say BLIE and then VE.
When people say that these concepts and these phrases and these definitions aren't valid because they're English, it's called translation. Most concepts and words that come from another culture are translated into language that the masses, the target audience, can understand.
Yeah, and that's not etymology work. You can't always trace it based off of the BELIE. That's not. You can't do that with all these words because again, folks out there, look up believe. I've done etymology on it a few different times. Every time he says it with so much conviction, I keep thinking maybe I missed it. Let me go look at it again.
Yeah.
And every time I do it,
he must got a book we don't have. I'm like,
yeah. Have y'all looked into it too? Have y'all looked it up?
Yeah, I looked up belief and I looked up Maseroth, and I'm like, I'm just not finding this. I'm like, maybe he got an old version. They don't print this copy anymore. I just couldn't find it. Yeah, so I couldn't find it either.
We got comments, folks.
All right, so let me post it. It says it's his story. That's why it's not true. Blah blah blah. He's talking about, I guess. I'm assuming you're referring to Zoe. All right.
Already read the other ones?
I'm sorry?
You already read the other ones?
No, I didn't read. Yeah, that's so far back in the show. Leaders of the New Vote. This is when Fresh said that it's this is when Vulcan said that slavery still exists. Yeah, it's called prison, America's slavery. Facts. Zuckerberg created Facebook. He didn't know that people would use it to lure kids. It's byproduct of technology. Yeah, that's referring to the good and the evil conversation we had earlier. And yeah, we read all of them. We caught up with the comments. All right, let's get back into it.
Or misunderstood what faith actually means. You don't need the word faith. They use the book of James all the time. The faith of Job, and listen.
No, he's letting. So
what is faith without works? Right. Let me give you that one real quick, and then I'm gonna come back to your question. Faith, fact beyond a doubt. The word iman, imani. We name our kids imani, and that's the Arabic misinterpretation of amun, amin, and we end our prayers with that. It means fact beyond a doubt. We got to be able to talk about this stuff. Corey, hit us.
So when I say the devil made me sleep with that woman that I shouldn't have been sleeping with, how am I copping out when I do that? Because I say the devil made me do it, and it make all my lost Christian brothers and sisters sort of have some type of compassion for what I did. I say, the devil made me do it. So, but what really made me do it? What made me do it?
A better question. Wow, that's heavy.
Let the doctor. What do you say?
If anybody is black folks, if there's any God that any black folks supposed to be following is Lucifer. Because if you look at the story of Lucifer, he was the the first rebellion. He was the first rebel to say no to authority.
Ooh,
Wow.
I spoke on that on the.
Now, please pause it right here. This one right here is very disheartening, and it really like I get pretty sober, even somber when it comes to this because it's really sad because the basic building block of any society is the family. What does this message leave family? If we're gonna praise Satan because he went against authority, what does that say about having children?
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. What does it say to those of us who encourage entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's just stop in there. We've all been children. We have parents who've been children. One of the greatest things in my life that I could think of is that my parents did a good job of keeping me in line, protecting me, preserving me to make it to adulthood by their rules and dictates, and me falling under their authority. And so the fact that and it's disheartening because in our Black community with hip hop and stuff like that, and not even outside of hip hop, there is this anti-establishment, anti-authority movement that's a part of it. It's like an undercurrent. Somebody even say it is the current, but if it's not the current, at least it's the undercurrent of our culture in a lot of ways. Probably because we don't have a lot of fathers in the home, but it's sad because these intellectual Black men are endorsing that kind of mentality, this anti-authority. Not he didn't say anti, authority ran afoul. He didn't say that. He didn't say misuse of authority, abuse of authority, totalitarian authority, anything like that. It was just authority. But Freshly, we can't hear you, Freshly, if you're talking, just so you know. But yeah, so that being the case is one of those things where I want the folks out there to hear that celebrating Satan because he was against authority. Unpack the word authority. Don't look at authority as something positive or negative, because it can be positive or negative. So either they need to be more clear with their words, or we got to understand that this type of philosophy that they're espousing right here would destroy all the functioning hierarchies and organizations that we have right now. Where being in unison and working in collaboration with each other and having a leadership is so imperative. Even in the underworld, Rick Ross talked about how the Mexican gangs were organized, the white gangs were organized, the Asian gangs were organized, but the Black gangs, only be like 2 or 3 guys because everybody had to be a shot caller.
Yeah.
Authority is necessary.
Yeah.
On the show, everybody looked at me crazy.
And when you hear people talk like this, brother, it's like the stuff you be thinking you just didn't word it like that.
Look here, man.
No.
I always felt that way. Like I was always fascinated by this devil. I'm like,
Now
what's the
listen.
devil? He sound like
We got 2
he
callers.
going through my struggle.
We got 2 callers, and I'm gonna get to them when I come back. But the brother just said something that's powerful. Lucifer, the light bearer, Illuminati, illuminated, Buddha, the enlightened one. Light is associated with knowledge. They've made knowledge evil. So when the knowledge stood up and said, "No, I don't believe that," he got turned into the devil. Listen, you can't be intelligent and be a sheep and a follower at the same time. We'll be back. So What Morning Show. We'll be right back.
Pause.
Yeah, before you go in, Vulcan, I just want to quote America's favorite villain, Joker, from Dark Knight. He said, some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bought, bullied, or reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn. So that's what I'm thinking. This is what I'm seeing right here. Some people just want to see things burn, man, or the world to burn.
Freshly, we still can't hear you, just so you know, Freshly. Still can't hear you. And so yeah, absolutely right. That's the thing about, these guys, along with Satan, just have, I'm getting that a strong impression. Just want to see the world burn.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I guarantee we follow these guys around. you're not going to see them practice that in their life. If you watch the 5150 show with Corey Holcomb, he has authority on that show. You watch Zoe talk about his son. He had authority over his son. So all of that stuff is irrelevant.
Yeah. Didn't Corey Holcomb kick Buddy off of his show because he went against the authority? Oh, can y'all still not hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because he went against authority. He rebelled. I don't like what you got going on. It's for the audience. We're simply pointing out that the concepts and philosophies that these guys are pushing, one, are not based in any sort of logic or reasoning, and they are things that exist in the natural world, the natural order of things, how things just go, for lack of a better word. And these gentlemen are beholden to that as well. They constantly show you that, in this stream as well as in their normal lives, the way they think, the way that they work through things, the way that they explain things, all sit within the structure of the very thing that they're trying to tear down. To a point, it's just them taking pot shots, and they're hoping you guys don't notice that they're hypocritical.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a powerful quote. That's why the quote, the Joker, just the part, especially when he said they can't be bought, bullied, reasoned. That's wild, man. Not trying to be logical. That's kind of, and this is what you're hearing with these gentlemen on this platform, man. This is like I said, it's a little disheartening, man. But yeah.
Round one, fight!
Stand there, everyone.
Blessed at the feet of many wizards, spiritual masters.
His Chase account. And one day she said, do you think this is fair? And he cussed her out and told her to mind her own business. Well, long story short, he moved to Atlanta because he got a new congregation.
Wow. It's always a congregation waiting on you in Atlanta, I see.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got Veronica Conway on the line right now. Veronica, you got to weigh in on this topic. Talk to us about it, honey.
Hi everybody. It's great to be here. And so I'll say this. I've been blessed to sit at the feet of many wizards, spiritual masters. Osho says that the priests and the politicians are in cahoots. And so the priests represent guilt and shame, usually over sexuality, and politicians represent the control over your resources. So conscious sex and relating is really the staircase to God. As you were speaking to earlier, though, you said, it's finding the light. Well, light is associated with the orgasm, with the spiritual orgasm. It's kind of the best kept secret on the planet, and it's a thing that's been hidden from us so that we don't come to know our God self.
That's why we be calling.
No, you know what's powerful about what she's saying? And Brother Phil could speak to this too. The Kundalini, the sperm in your nut sacks goes up your spinal cord and gets charged with energy, spirit energy from the consciousness. It goes back down. That's the spark of life. And the Kundalini, what we know as the Kundalini, sex energy and sex magic and all of that stuff, gets taken east and turns into tantric sex. So when we look up the word
tantric,
whore,
is that a black folks television?
Come on now, dog.
No, that's tantric.
Come on, man.
But I'm just saying, what I find is everything that originated black gets turned into the devil.
Right.
The damn Egyptians in the Bible are the bad people.
That's right.
That's evil. When you look at the TV show Supernatural with the two white boys going around helping people, or Constantine, which is the new show with this comic book exorcism, right? This guy is using Egyptian symbols that Negro Christians have been taught to fear as evil.
Who should have come in a Chevy? Should have come in a Cadillac. I rebuke you.
So what they've done is took your knowledge of self, your culture, and made it evil, recontextualized it, brought in the dirty Pal Gasol version of Jesus, Cesare Borgia, and told you to worship that while they still hold on to your beliefs, which gives them power. The power that was inherently and ancestrally yours.
Y'all gotta admit the Paul Gasol bar was kind of hot a little bit.
Yeah, that was fire. Hey, real quick, I just want to point out, I thought something sounded a little funny when my man Enos gave us that powerful quote. That definitely is not the Joker, man. That's Alfred. Don't ever disrespect the button like that again.
Oh,
That's facts.
Don't disrespect.
Hey, hold up, baby.
yeah.
Freshly on the
Hey, I had to do
scene.
it, man.
Let's
We
go.
hold each other
Yeah,
accountable,
but-
but somebody else came from outside and did. I said, man, that don't sound right, brother. I've seen that movie a lot of times.
Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, definitely.
The
Yeah.
quote was about the Joker, but it was
Yeah.
right.
Good joke.
Yeah.
Did you know that the whole time, Vulcan?
I didn't know. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't think. I wasn't like. I was just taking the content and moving on. I didn't really like listen. I wasn't really focused on whether the quote was accurate so much as what the quote was saying. But
Listen.
yeah,
For Enos, that's me as your brother. I don't want nobody else to come from outside and try to get at you, man.
Appreciate that, man. Thank
You got diabetes in the bottom of that cup, man.
this
It's like a whole bunch of sugar in the bottom of that joint.
this is a prebiotic.
Yeah, all right.
Hopefully that's beet juice, man.
Oh man.
All right. You had something you had to say, Vulcan?
No. I'm on that soap thing right now. But go ahead.
Hilarious. Yeah, wow, man.
I saw these
So
old
can I,
soup.
so can I speak? Can I speak to that briefly?
Yes, you can. Please, please.
See, there's a spiritual moment in any deep spiritual walk. There's a moment when we come here, there's a moment where you decide away from yourself and your soul in favor of approval, in favor of safety and survival. And the moment that you do that, the moment that you decide away from your God's love, it's usually a moment of terror. And you divide from yourself, and the church goes in and exploits that inner conflict. That's the exploitation.
Wow. Church is like insurance. Insurance is based off of anxiety. What might happen?
Correct.
Church is just
The
like
monster pimp game, man.
Yes.
You're gonna pay for what might.
You know what? You might get into an accident and you might go to hell.
Well,
So you might as well jump over on this side of the fence. Listen, we have a caller on the line right now. Nico from Pasadena.
Pause
You
it
want to
real
ask
quick.
myself?
These are bad analogies, man. Horrible analogies.
It's
man.
pretty much like anybody who calls in and takes a shot at Christianity. He's like,
He don't let him ride.
he's like Jesse Lee Peterson. Amazing. It's like, bro, come on. What they said wasn't that hot, man. Chill.
Oh man,
Come on, man.
that's wild.
Self or Dr. Phil Valentine or any other panel a question? Let's go.
Okay. Just wanted to say
Real quick, Nico.
long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nico, real quick. Dina Love.
What's going on,
Go ahead, Dina Love. I just wanted to rep my city real quick. Dina Love. Go ahead, finish.
Well, I thought I had an interesting perspective to add to the argument because I kind of come from the other side of the spectrum. You were talking about
fast forward to
hierarchy
this.
earlier in the show, and
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, is there really a hierarchy if there's this relationship with you and God? Like,
Say again. Is there a hierarchy relationship with you and God?
no, if it's just you and God, like if you have a relationship and it's just you and God, like, is there a hierarchy in that?
And that's a great question.
Is it?
Really, I want to throw it to Phil. Phil, answer the brother's question, then I'm gonna come right behind you, and then the rest we can all pile in. Dr. Phil, you on with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear the brother's question?
No, I was on hold.
Okay, his question was, is there a hierarchy between you and God? That's what he said, right? Y'all
The
heard that?
hierarchy, yes, there is a hierarchy. It's your doer, your thinker, and your knower. Your knower is a hierarchy between you and that concept of perception that you internalize as well as condense into what you call God. But there is a hierarchical thinking process, and it depends on which one you want to focus on and the one that you become immersed in. Do you become immersed into the doer? Do you become immersed into the thinker? Or do you, in that way that Krishnamurti was speaking about, using your attention and your observer, deal through the knower? And through the knower, there is no way for you to be tricked as you are tricked with the thinker and the doer.
Good point. Good point. I tend to think this way. There's only you, nothing else. There's a higher you and a lower you. The higher you is God. Please understand this. God is everything. So you know what that means? If God is everything, you can't add nothing to him. So it is what it is. There is no predestination. God is. That's what God is. And when you're in your lower self, that's when you're in your weaker self. That's when you're in your weakness. That's when you're in your, I need to know, I need to figure out, I need to understand. But God is you. There is no delineation or separation between you and God. You just have to be able to see it from within in order to access.
Yeah, but you can't pimp like that. See, okay, we're gonna put evil on one side, put good on the other side, and put we're gonna stand in the middle, and all of y'all are by default evil, and then I'm gonna charge you 10% to get over here on the good side. That's the way it is.
The intercessor.
Help the Bears cooking right now, bro.
Yeah. That's facts. Murder Jigga used to be Nas, but Nice was about the moon and the stars. Shout out to Murder Mook, man. That's what it is right here. Well, this reminds me of the Incredibles scene, the first Incredibles movie, where the main character Rhodey, what's his name, Rhodey? He was mad because Mr. Incredible rejected him, and so his whole purpose was, I'm gonna make everybody super. First, I'm gonna become super myself with my technology. Then I'm gonna sell it to everybody else, and everybody will be super. Then no one will be. If God is all of us, then it becomes meaningless at that point.
Well, also, there's no accountability.
There's no accountability.
You set your own set of rules. Everybody can do what they want. There's no accountability to a higher power. That's not you.
But then what happens is you rob the term or the meaning of God of any type of anything special. If God is
everybody, then it's not
everybody. Then he's the homeless guy on the street. He's Donald Trump. He's Joe Biden. He's everybody. He's Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
He's everybody and everyone good.
Yeah. So you completely rob God of any type of essence that we would want to worship.
But I think what he's saying though is self-worship. Is worship of self. They are trying to write. He is trying to write.
But my point, why even worship it if it's in everything? Again, how we all work, including these guys who are saying this, is things that are rare are special.
Right.
You know, so that's why this information that they believe is esoteric and not most people don't know, it's special to them. Y'all don't know this. You don't read this. I went and read the book. Y'all don't even know this, right? It's all about them being in the know and everybody else being out of the know.
Exclusivity.
And everybody has God. Everybody is God. That makes it not even worth talking about anymore. It'd be like arms, right? You know, like y'all got arms. You know, you have arms. All of us have arms. Okay, what's your point? It nothing special about it anymore. It's just saturated, and so. You know, there's no need to worship yourself or even have esteem of yourself because everybody has that which you might use to esteem yourself at that point. We esteem ourselves typically for our uniqueness. Like, hey, there's only one. What do we see on the self-help books and on Grant Cardone videos, all stuff? There's only one you. Nobody else can be you. You know what I'm saying? Which is true. If we're all God, then there's nothing special to esteem about it. The person you hate the most is God. The person you love the most is God. The most evil person that ever lived is God.
Exactly.
The amazing person that ever lived is God. So,
and to what end, though?
To what end? Yeah.
To what end?
Yes, sir.
Creates the hierarchy. Corey, take us a break. Go.
In my opinion, when you do whatever you do inside, there's something talking to you. When
Absolutely.
you ignore the side that is moral, it becomes easier to listen to the side that's pulling you down. In fact, you almost can't hear the moral side when you keep listening to the side that pulls you down, regardless.
When we come back, Dr. G is going to lay down some heavy Jewish white science on us. We'll be back at 2.2. Holla!
I at the very least appreciate when
blessings of God, a Christian, they're not yours because of the work of Jesus.
I mean, there are in terms of
fair use.
Say, man, this is a real situation.
Wait a minute, that was made for TV. Nobody actually.
Your people are hurting so bad.
They threw money on the stage.
They need answers, and they will accept.
And they walked across the money and then put it into the bucket.
Absolutely.
And let me just say,
I want a church called Fool Fellowship.
Full fellowship. Reverend Corey preaching out of the book of Corinthians.
Corinthians.
So again, let me just say, there are some churches out there that do good works.
Where?
And let me just say, because I mean there are.
Where?
In terms of Like there was a church my mother went to. And let me just break it down.
You can find good in a turd.
But no, here the point. The point is, because I'm gonna double it back. The point is they provided for the elderly. They gave them food. They gave them rides homes. If they needed their bills paid, they can come and say, "Hey, you know, struggle with my cable in my life, whatever." Right?
So remember, he was mentioning earlier about how when you question rigid hierarchies, they don't, you know, especially in the context of organized religion, they want you to stay within their parameters. Look what's happening right now. He's trying to give some credence to church, right? And he's having to defend himself already. I'm gonna double back. I'm gonna double back. The guys on the panel know, like, hey, look, y'all, don't lose hope in me now. I'm not joining the dark side. I'm about to come back and attack it in a little bit. Just give me a moment. It's the same exact thing. They're protecting their particular borders on their beliefs. Hey, stay within our group. Hey, we don't be endorsing Christianity now. Don't do that. Well, he's like, I'm gonna double back. I'm gonna double back. He's got to remind us. I'm gonna double back. Why? So it's no different. I want all the folks out there to hear. It's the same principle at work there. They're protecting their borders of beliefs. Don't venture too far out. Oh, whoa, what you saying sounds like you endorsing it. You can find good stuff in a turd. What do you about to say about the church?
I want to set it. I want to frame it like this for the audience. Either he don't know what he's talking about, and that's why he's contradicting himself constantly, or he does know what he's talking about, and he's banking on the fact that you don't.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning of the show or our past shows, we're not judging his intentions. Right now, we're just judging his technique.
But let me talk about the dependency of that, because I got to a certain point with my mother where I said I love my mother enough to not try to teach her what I know. So let me pull back, because whatever comfort or solace this provides for her, I don't want to disrupt it with the truth. Sometimes the truth is the worst opponent you'll ever fight, because it knows all your flaws and it's going to counter all the bullshit you throw at it. That's how the truth works in your life.
You need to tell him the truth still.
But I did, but I don't want to hurt her. So I just stepped back.
He said he don't want to hurt her, but well, he's going to equip these talking points to his listeners so they go hurt their parents.
Yeah, your mom is not going to leave a solid, organized religion that has been around for centuries, has done more for human society than probably any other ism out there, to go to your bootleg, random, tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine,
cobbled together
philosophies at all. Like, come on, there's no groups for that. There's no way, y'all ain't helping the poor out there like that with whatever belief system you have out there. I'm not saying him as an individual. I'm saying his religion or philosophy he holds to. I can't go find their building. I can walk outside where I'm at right now and find a church that's doing work in the community.
The community.
The own community. So I mean, like, yeah, I think leave your mom alone, because you can't put nothing, you can't substitute what she has. All that she gets from her religious institution, physically, non-physically, spiritually, mentally, every kind of way, support. When he's not there doing his own thing out in the world, that church, the men and women in the church supporting his mom, making sure she gets there, all the kind of stuff, the van that picks people up. We all know how it goes. You know what I'm saying? They putting in work over there. I don't even know that place. And so you can't provide up to the substitute for that. Leave your mom where she is.
Yeah.
If you love your mom.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, even atheists send their kids to church. Why? Because it's not going to get much better than that for an institution.
Facts.
They do work. Look at the hospitals in your area.
This is separating, just so you guys can know, this is actually, what Vulcan is doing is actually separating religion from the deity. Not that you should, but this is what that looks like. Okay, when you separate the deity from the religion, you get to actually look at objectively the organization and what they're doing out there.
Facts.
Williams and his cabal have been conflating religion and God this whole time. The religion, the institution, with the concept of Christianity. And it's like they're two different things.
Got more comments. Brother Vulcan, you want to read the comment?
Oh, yeah. So we got some comments here. I'm gonna start at the caller, the sun, the moon, the stars. I hate Christianity. So amazing. If God is everybody, then this is Mother Russia. Brother Vulcan drinking that communion wine. This is prebiotic right here. Prebiotic. I got a sensitive palate.
Cheers. Cheers. All right.
They said wine is good for gut health.
To what end?
But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I get that.
So my whole point is, you still don't need an intercessor to do good works in the world. The church has set itself up as the intercessor of your good deeds. I throw money at the church so they can feed the homeless. Why don't you do it? I throw money at the church so I can serve in the community. Why don't you serve in the community?
You know how much good we do?
I know drug dealers who bought the entire Chicago Public High School basketball teams.
Let's talk.
Shout out to
real quick.
Did those drug dealers go out and hand out those shoes individually, or did they pay somebody to do it? Did they employ somebody to do it? Did they pay an organization to do it? I would give school this money. School distribute these items. But also, okay, go ahead, Vulcan.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is one of those things where it's difficult because when you're saying things like, you giving stuff to the church as the intercessor, so the church can do these good works. You do those good works. We're forgetting that the church is comprised of individuals, of people. Anybody who's been a part of a church, this is not some type of mastermind brain trust group that are trying to take over the world like Pinky and the Brain. These are just your grandma, a couple elders from the community and stuff like that are doing activism in their particular area, like has been historically from Martin Luther King all the way back to Ethiopia. That's the way it goes.
Even if you do good deeds, even if you do good deeds individually, where did you get that set of morals from? Where did you get that moral turpitude from? Where did you get those tenets from that to know that that's the right thing to do? Yeah. Is that within yourself, or is that based on? And this is what I'm saying. This is, I want to know. Okay, so Zoe Williams, who taught you, who trained you, what's good and what's bad? I'm going to assume, which I don't like doing often, but I don't have them here. I'm going to assume it was your parents, at least for the majority of time. What manual, what set of beliefs did your parents, your mother, train you so where you got your morals from? Yes, I will go out and feed the community. I know that's good because Jesus fed the community. Because Jesus said, do your best to be like me. The church says, you know what? One of the things Jesus did while we're striving to be like him is he fed the poor. Let's go out and feed the poor. Like, I don't understand why he's able to just
let me speak to that, because it's hard for us in modern times because we're so ensconced and enveloped in Judeo-Christian philosophy and virtue. It's hard for us to imagine a context in which we weren't in that. But the thing is, the only way for us to really do it, a thought experiment, would be to look at other cultures and societies around the world, and especially historically. Like, we all of us guys of the movie 300, right? Remember in the movie 300, when they had deformed babies, what they did with those deformed babies?
They threw them out. In their world, that wasn't wrong. That was normal. There are civilizations that, because when the people got a certain age and they couldn't really contribute to their society, they would bury the elderly because they didn't want to kill them. They would bury the elderly and they would just die buried in the ground. There's societies where they would, whenever the husband died, they would delete the wife so she can finish her process of reincarnation. So the whole thing is, like, a lot of that stuff was stomped out by Judeo-Christian belief systems. We don't know it today because we've all grown up in that context. But there was a time and place when there was a distinction, a definite, easy to see optical distinction between Judeo-Christian virtues and principles on
intrinsic value of life versus what's around, what was surrounding the people at that time.
Well,
And
it
so
wasn't even that long ago.
it wasn't even that long ago, and it's still
'Cause
happening
even
to this day.
no, I'm saying in the Nuremberg trials with the Nazis, but when they was in trial, they said I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that wasn't.
And they said, "Isn't there a law above man's law?"
That's
Saying
crazy.
that you may have not violated any laws in Germany, which they didn't violate any laws in Germany. There's a law above that law that you violated.
What set of morals are we basing the fact that slavery was wrong off of?
Excellent point. Slavery's been around for most civilizations and most religious systems.
And it is built off of it's built off of the notion or the belief that those people who are enslaved are inferior intrinsically.
Yeah.
So
I know we got a lot more video coverage, so I won't say too much on. We got some comments here.
hold on real quick. Drug dealers Help the Bear says drug dealers handing out shoes and destroying the community at the same time is the equivalent of 1 + -1. Cancels each other out.
Yeah.
My mom did tell me that from the Bible freshly, but I'm giving you the game to tell you that your mom was wrong. Hey, why? Help the Bear, you cooking in there right now. I'm assuming that's a quote from Zoe Williams, right?
Yeah. For
I needed that.
Yeah, for Zoe, if you're gonna deconstruct, these our monuments or the way we think, what are you gonna replace them with? That's the question I have.
Self, love of self. I within. Whatever I do is whatever I do because I'm God. I just make my own decisions. I'm accountable to myself. Nobody else can hold me accountable. Only God can judge me.
Why? This cat right here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you when the CIA started coming at him. When he started buying people's houses that was in foreclosure.
We didn't ask you to help the community now. We want to
tear
tear it down.
Dr. Mark
locked up.
Right,
Dr. Mark.
That's what happened.
Too fast.
I think a lot of the sermons
that's
drive
good.
home to the congregation. You don't belong anywhere, and this is your pay to belong place. So if you give us money, you get to be able to belong. And how much of that? How much do you think a lot of people in life just don't feel they belong
Anywhere but there?
Yeah, but if you come here and you give us money, you will belong.
Corey?
Well, I'm just saying, like I've said, like what the doc said right there. I've said that in my way. Church is for the suckers who looking for some homies, because that's all it is. I'm not just talking about the dudes. I'm talking about the women. My opinion of the black church, and people may get mad. It is a place where you hang out and you talk shit after the hustler get through hustling.
Damn.
That's really all.
And you know what? I've always said that church in the penal system.
I'm gonna keep it real. Anytime somebody says opinion, I'm already out. In my opinion, I'm already like, yeah, I'm out, man.
Man,
you got it. But anyway, so what they're saying right here, again, it's just more and more sophistry, right? And all the folks out there, sophistry versus sound reasoning. Sophistry is somebody that has an irrational, fallacious perspectives on things that are not connected. The dots are not connected, and they're teaching it to us like it's really something that we should hold on to. Valid reasoning doesn't have to always be true, but at least the conclusion follows logically from the premises that have been stated. So I want everybody to understand that when you listen to these kind of people speak, really listen to their words and don't just go, I know what they mean. What are they saying? Does it line up? Because this is pretty crazy right here. This is asinine.
Yeah, just to touch on what we were saying earlier when we were talking about slavery, keep in mind the culture that Zoe's referring to, the ancestors, our ancestors, they had slaves too.
They had slaves too.
So the people that built the pyramids, maybe they was paying them minimum wage. I don't know. Maybe they was paying them a healthy wage. I don't know. So historians go back and forth. Even with Shaka Zulu, he killed close to 1 million people. I doubt that those 1 million people was white people. So there was a lot of immorality going on back then in the motherland. So just,
with all due respect, what do you want to say, Ricky Bobby?
All right. No doubt.
Is the life raft for being locked down. So you got to choose a side. Either you're gonna be a blood, a Crip, a Muslim, a Christian. You got to choose a side when you're in jail.
Oh, yeah.
But what people fail to realize is just because you're on the outside doesn't mean you're not still in prison. So you still got to choose a side. That's the only way you can be perceived as normal. Bobby?
You know, after watching and listening to
You
the
gotta
conversation
be
today,
auto-theistic. You
how
gotta be
can people
auto-theistic. You
justify
gotta be
the
monotheistic.
discrepancy
One of
between
the two.
Jesus and the story, the biblical interpretation of his life, and how the flock has been misled by the present day representatives of Jesus? For example, he was a carpenter, allegedly, and he didn't have a storefront, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went out every day, and administered to the sick, the needy, the shut in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do preachers then get to live the life that they live and call themselves in concert?
Well, let me just say this really quick.
I got to answer
because we have a caller on the line. I got to get everybody in, but let me just say this. That was a good question. Let me just say, you can't be misled by the truth. You can only be misled by a lie.
Pause.
And no one in our community is.
Get him.
So,
Never fresh. He said, "Don't do that."
there's two things here. You said being misled by truth, and there was another one I was writing it down. We paused it kind of fast, which is good, but I'm not used to pausing it that fast. I was still writing stuff down. But yeah, so I'm gonna start with the misled of truth because that was the one I remember. But there was another one. A point that he made. You know, you can be misled by anything, a truth or a lie. I remember what it was. It was another dichotomy thing that he brought up. I'm gonna get back to that. You know, but yeah, you can be misled by the truth. There's sometimes people. It's all kind of different. We talked about that earlier. Somebody could quote a certain text in the Bible. That's a truth, but without the context, you could be misled by it. Slaves obey your master. Oh, this endorsing slavery. This is saying that the white man is the truth and the black man is the false, and you know, it's justifying why my ancestors were brought over here and kidnapped and forced to work with no pay. You know what I'm saying? That's what they can take that to mean. You can be misled by the truth really quite easily.
Quite easily.
Sometimes the best way to mislead people is by truth.
That's literally what he's doing right now.
Out of context. You know, so I just want to say, you know, again, it's not that simple. Oh, you lie, you only be misled by a lie. You can't be misled by the truth. Y'all, that's just demonstrably not true. We all been misled by a truth not in its context. You know, that happens all the time. So another thing I was going to bring up was a dichotomy part. When he talks about, oh yeah, he's talking about like, what was he saying? It was like, I know the point I want to hit on. I'm trying to quote him before I said it, but
we got the video right here. You know.
Yeah, we got. I just say this part right here. The law of exclude the middle, y'all. Is again, some things are going to be black and white, either this or that. Not everything's like that. We said to pick a side. That's what it was. Pick a side. Pick a side. Pick a side. Pick a side.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Some things you're picking a side. It's 2 + 2 4, or it's 2 + 2 not 4. You got to pick a side.
Pick a side right now. Either you believe in a monotheistic, or you believe in autotheistic or egotheistic beliefs. Yeah. He's essentially putting up what other people believe against what he believes and saying, y'all are wrong, I'm right. That's black and white.
Yeah, in life there's always side picking. And everything, you don't have to pick a side in everything. And sometimes we pick and choose what things we're going to pick a side on. But that doesn't mean there's only
two sides,
or there's only 3 sides, or only 4 sides. Sometimes it's very limited on the sides that there actually are. And you can choose to just suspend judgment, right? But that's not necessarily a noble cause. Some people think, oh, I'm just kind of in the middle, or, you know, I just kind of reserve judgment. That's not a noble thing all the time. Probably most times it's not a noble thing. It could be cowardice. It could be ignorance. It could be a number of things while we do that.
What else?
So I want everybody to understand, just suspending judgment and not making a decision is not always a good thing. It's not something always that's commendable. Picking a side, like Martin Luther King did, is a lot of times only for progress to be had. Abraham Lincoln picking a side. Sometimes a little bit of progress can actually happen. So keep that in mind as y'all are listening to stuff like this. Don't let somebody make you think that picking a side is evil. Picking a side is necessary some of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Another comment from Help the Bear, in my opinion, is the same as saying no disrespect before your sentence. Another one. He said from the west side, God dang, it must be 2 sides. That's hilarious. All right. Shawty low.
Strong enough to stand up and say, what lie have I been following? No one has the testicular fortitude to say Jesus is a lie in my community, and has been ever since the good ship Jesus brought some of us here. Corey?
I know I can lead a group of people just like Bishop Eddie Long, TDJ. I know I could do it. I can get people to do all kind of crazy shit and give me money, but I believe that there is a higher power that will really bring some type of wrath down on you for taking advantage of the sheep. Taking advantage of the sheep, that's some evil shit, which is what our government does for a living.
And the Hindus would call that karma. Karma means action. You do a good action, you get some good shit.
I protect the
You
sheep.
do a bad action, you get some fucked up shit. I just believe that. We got a call on the line. Mr. Grammary from Tennessee. You're on the line. You got a question for Dr. Phil Valentine? I'm letting Phil answer this one. Phil, you ready?
Okay. So it's not well, I guess I can pose another question. So how would you guys answer this? Lies. I'm Satan.
Don't you be blaspheming in him.
No, that's good
Christianity
stuff.
is a bullshit, fake ass religion. Corey Holcomb said it.
Damn! Christ alive. Dr. Phil Valentine, man, we need you to come in here and chime in, man. Oh, Phil is gone? Oh, he hung up. Okay, we're gonna get him right back. We're gonna get him right back. Calling. Make sure we get him right back. Again, I thought that was a great statement that the brother broke down. The devil. And let me just say this. Anything that is intelligent questions. The root of religion, the word religion, look it up. Don't believe a goddamn thing we're talking about. The word itself in its etymological root means to bind. I
just want to say this, what he's saying is true to some extent. I'm really a big believer is judge a man by his questions rather than his answers, and there's a lot of truth to that. But I just want to make this point clear. There is a science to questioning things. The technical term would be epistemology, right? That's a scientific method. That's mathematics. How do we know things?
Put it on the screen.
Now the thing is, when we're questioning things, y'all, just questioning it isn't necessarily a virtue. Think about your kids. Think about times at work and at school where questioning wasn't a good thing. You asked a question and you weren't paying attention. That we already answered that. There's all kind of contexts in which sometimes a question is not a good question.
Question for the sake of questioning is not.
Yeah, I mean a question like hey, look, these people are humans and they should be given and treated with dignity and value. Why? We be like, what? Where did it come from? Well, I just want to know why we got to treat them like humans. You know what I'm saying? So there's all kind of questions that we would say, no, that's not a good question. That's not a warranted question. Why am I bringing that up? Because he's talking about the fact that it's intelligence to question. But we can't stop there. That same intelligence needs to go, okay, well, now how do I question things in a way that's productive and constructive and effective? That's where I think a lot of us fall off. We never take that next step.
Right. They questioning for the sake of questioning. It really is a waste of energy. It's a waste of action. If you're not questioning to further your understanding of the statement or the philosophy or whatever it is that you're questioning, then to be honest with you might as well not do it.
Yeah. I mean, your question could be a distraction. Your question could be misleading. There's all kinds of things that those questions can do. So question even your ability to question. Question your intentionality when it comes to questioning.
Yeah, why am I
all that stuff? There's a magazine called Skeptic Magazine by a guy named Michael Shermer, and he's all about. I don't agree with him philosophically on some things, but one thing I can say is that he understands there's a science of questioning things. We have the scientific method to question things: hypothesis, test the falsifiability. There are mathematics. We can work the problem in reverse. If we're doing multiplication, we can do a division. We can find ways to question it, to figure out what we think it is, the solution we think it is actually true. Historically, there's ways we can question things. There's ways to question things in a courtroom, right? Permission to treat the witness as a hostile witness, Your Honor. They have their process. And it's not based off somebody arbitrarily to say, what we should do in court to make things make more sense. No, this is based off of a science to questioning things properly. So just all the folks out there, just keep in mind, take the next step. Question, not hit the next step, find, okay, what's the science of questioning things? How do I do this in a way that's going to make sense?
Order in the court.
There we go.
Help the Bear said, how to ask good questions is a good episode.
Yeah.
We should talk about epistemology, science behind asking the right questions.
Sure. That's a good
Need
topic.
to control you. So if I control your thoughts, social programming, social engineering, I was going to save this thought for the final thought, but I'm going to say it right now. When you're playing chess, remember the bishop is in the king's court. he serves the king. Okay.
Serves at the pleasure of the king.
And what better way to keep people locked into a social structure than to start at a religious base?
Well,
These are the social game rules by which they interface with. Go ahead, Bobby.
We've been top heavy on Christianity, which I want to pose this question. Is it just Christianity that we are having a problem with, or is it religion per se?
Well, in America, dealing with African Americans, it's Christianity.
Absolutely.
But on a global perspective, it's all religions to a certain degree. You go to India, they have problem with fake godmen.
What do you think the need is that religion satisfies across all religions? And
Great
what would be a better way to fulfill that need so they could let go of that? So what do you think is the need that religion serves in people?
The fear that you are absolutely in control. The fear that it's like waking up, it's like being in your own life and waking up in the cockpit of a 747 and you don't know shit about flying.
It's not intelligent to choose a religion without knowing at least two of them. If you haven't studied this versus that, how can you claim something that you just heard about? That's what I tell all my friends who are Christians.
Right. What do you know about any other
It just makes them mad at me. Of course. They just get frustrated. But how the fuck can you claim Christianity if you don't know Islam?
Hit a Christian with facts and logic, and they will hit you right back with warm and fuzzy.
Listen, if they give you false education, why would they give you true religion?
Whoa.
Do you understand? If every aspect of your life is monitored, controlled, metered, and they're not, listen, knowledge is the real currency, not the fake debt tickets.
Knowledge is the new money, baby.
So if I got you chasing the debt tickets instead of knowledge, do you understand? We'll be back. Got to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in the building. Zoe's final thought. It's important that we cover this. Like I said before, we have to control the narrative, our narrative. If we do not control our narrative, like other people control their narratives, right? Native Americans mad at David Schneider, Daniel Snyder, owner of the Washington Redskins. You don't get to call your team the Redskins no more. We're going to take it all the way to civil court, all the way to the Supreme Court. Again, controlling the narrative. Stop accepting the story that somebody said was your story, okay? Let me just say it again. Please remember that the bishop is still in the king's court, and he follows the rules of the king. Please understand that. Whether positive or negative in its expression, thought is always creative, meaning it's always constructive. As long as you are thinking, you are the architect of your reality. So now you got to question the thoughts you have. And are they an original thought? Right? Or are you living a life that was already predetermined by the social game rules that was waiting on you when you were born? We've got to challenge these things. That's the purpose of this show. It's not to disrespect any one religion, but Christianity is a burden on Black Americans. Just like Christianity is a burden on Africans. Desmond Tutu, he said when they came over here, they came with Bibles and we all prayed. And when we opened our eyes, we were holding the Bible and they owned the land. Please understand, it's a burden globally, right? I'm asking us to challenge whatever we think we were told as the truth.
Yeah, Paul,
you're afraid of the devil because you were taught to be afraid of the devil, but you don't know the devil represents.
Yeah, again, this is just sad. You know, as far as African Americans living in the Americas, the richest Black people in the world live here after slavery. That's where they live. When he talks about, I was holding the Bible and they had the land. Again, that had nothing to do with Christianity. The people who took over the land wasn't the same people that was trying to preach to them. It's two different people.
And it's crazy because Desmond Tutu, he was quoted Desmond Tutu, he's a priest now. That's the crazy. So
yeah.
I'm letting you more context on that, but go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
It isn't like we ever had the land. Not like we traded the Bible for the land. It was theirs when they brought us over here. So what do you mean by that statement?
Well, Desmond Tutu, he's South Africa when the British Empire.
I got you.
So yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, he was quoting somebody. I was trying to remember.
What about everybody else that lost their land without a Bible?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The Zulu, they had obtained a lot of land too before.
The Native Americans over here going to war.
Mm-hmm.
You know, India, all these places.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Genghis Khan ain't offer nobody a Bible.
It's just human nature. It's got nothing to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. Who created masonry? Black people, the Moors. We're the ones. Listen.
Yeah, speaking of Moors, like we said this on the past episodes, if you read some of the books that was written by the Moors, I think the guy name was Tariq Nasheed. When he came to sail to the shore of Spain, he burnt his ships, his cruise ships, and told his members, "Hey, we're not leaving until we conquer Spain." Same thing. They took over Spain for like 700 years. Same thing.
Baphomet, the goat of Mendez. Baphomet. Some say it's a phonetic corruption of the word Muhammad. Baphomet, just like they say Mohammed. Oh, but it's a goat. Well, the black people used to worship the goat. It was called Amun-Ra. So I'm going to re-freak your culture and make it evil. But I own it and use it and practice it. And I give you a remix, a diet version of your spiritual belief. So I can keep you disconnected from your belief. Because if I give you your belief, I give you your sovereignty. You can't be sovereign and governed at the same time. I want to govern you. So I must take your sovereignty. The root word of sovereign is reign, power to do. We don't have power to do. We're Charles Barkley all over this motherfucker.
Pause.
Hey, I want to ask this question before you get into it, Vulcan. Please hold on to your thought. He said, "Who created masonry?" Is he talking about masonry, the practice, or like Freemasonry?
Free. It's
I
not
don't
clear.
think
I think he's talking about
any of those.
But you know, historians go back and forth. Some say it started from Egypt and then they traveled all the way to the West Africans and moved their way up to Europe. So the guys that built the pyramids, that was always masonry since Egyptian times. That was masons.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that historians, they go back and forth with this kind of what they call theories, I guess you could say, right? Historical theories. But yeah.
We got some comments, y'all. I'm trying to go with the first one. Was okay. That's the first one. As I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From Help the Bear. The Indians thought it was stupid to buy land.
They didn't even understand the concept. Like, buy it.
Yeah. It's here. Yeah.
It's just here.
Sovereignty, aka Wild Wild West. I don't think Negroes want that. And this goes to that point. My kids like to listen to that song by Nas. I know I can be what I want to be. I like that song too. But you know, we were kings and queens. I think people don't understand. Like, it goes back to the sovereignty thing. Everybody can't be sovereign. Somebody's gonna take control. That's human nature, religion or not. You just put 100 people on an island, and you come back in a year. There's gonna be somebody in control. Somebody's running the show there.
Like Zoe doing on his own podcast. He's running the show.
Zoe doing his own podcast and running the show and picking who gets to speak and who doesn't get to speak. Mm-hmm. That's just natural humanity. Now imagine if there's resources on the line and women involved. Mm-hmm. Now it's gonna definitely want to be some control going on. Who's getting access to that? So when he's saying these different points, we got to realize this is not a religious thing, y'all. This is just a human nature thing. If anything, Judeo-Christian religions have tried to curb man's appetite, for tyranny. That's what it's tried to do. So I like what Help the Bear says, sovereignty, aka Wild Wild West. If we're all sovereign, we're all reigning, that's just going to be
no order. Yeah,
that's anarchy.
There's no order, because who's to tell me that unless we figure it out with the fisticuffs, with violence?
Wow. And black folks, we want order. It's been studies that came out. Black folks advocating and want more police in their neighborhood. So, yeah, we're not. Yeah, you're right, Help the Bear. We ain't ready for that.
Every time you talk to a quote unquote black intellectual and they say, what's the problem with the black community? Is organization. We can't get together. We can't no unity. We don't want sovereignty. That's low key kind of what we got right now. Niggas out here just doing whatever they want, regardless of the cause.
Unintelligent, uneducated black people. Don't you know the best thing or the worst thing that can happen to a good, strong black man is a great European education?
Wow.
Don't you know that undoes him? Wow. Because it strips the knowledge of self of who he really is. Let me keep it going.
Pause.
There are gatekeepers in our life.
How does it strip it? Like all of us had European education, right? First grade.
He had one too.
And the richest Africans in Africa and Nigeria, they all tend to go to school in Europe.
Y'all know where I live. Y'all know I'm around Africans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They come over here and get educated.
And median income is what, 80,000? Some of them Nigerians.
They travel around the world to get education.
Yeah.
And they're leaving places that were already, settled by other European countries, a time ago. So my point is just saying this right here. When he's talking about, a European education undoes him, how does it know? When I was a kid going to school, I didn't have whatever knowledge of self that he's referring to. So I wasn't stripped from me. I started off as like a canvas, if you will, right? Kind of pretty much a blank canvas. And then I was taught how to read and write and right and wrong and science and math and history and all these other kind of things. So what knowledge of self is being stripped from me? I was given information. Information was taken away from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my question for the folks out there. How was information stripped from me when I was a kid when I started the European education?
Yeah, I also want to say the Asians are doing better with the European education better than the Europeans right now. They definitely thriving. So South Asian.
Some would say black women. Some would say African American women are doing better with it.
Yeah. But that's a good point. Like you said, born on the Western Hemisphere. What we stripped from? So yeah, I get what you're saying on that. Got anything fresh?
We got comments.
Yeah, more comments. Hold on. Go back to that screen.
Dr. Umar, Help the Bear said, I don't want Dr. Umar teaching my children.
He said the Indians thought it was stupid to buy land. Facts. They said, this is not our land. This is God's land. The white man gave that contract. Said, all right, sign this. Sovereignty. Okay. Well, oh, yeah, we didn't read that. Yeah, so yeah, that's funny. Shout out to Help the Bear.
Part of the gatekeepers will judge you based off of your educational background. Part of the gatekeepers will judge you off of your religious background. The Masons, some of them, quote unquote, worship the light. According to Albert Pike, they said they were Luciferians, those who worship Lucifer, the light bearer. You've been sold what? A narrative of what evil is. What did they call Egypt back in the day? They called it the light of the world. Once the white went into Egypt and took all of the knowledge, the Alexandria Library, once they took all of the knowledge, they changed the name from the light of the world to the dark continent. Please understand, they took the light out of the continent. And when they took the light out of the continent, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, all of these fools had to wait 20 years before they could get into the mystery schools. Some of them even 40 years before they can get into the mystery schools. We created masonry. Why? Because we created the greatest Masonic feat in the world, the pyramids. Now the pyramid is a symbol of the Illuminati and evil. Yo culture. If we don't get control of our narrative, we're going to have greasy finger, chicken eating, diabetes.
I just don't get this we stuff. That's like one of y'all's grandparents doing something and be like, we did that. You can be like, we? What do you mean? I ain't even do it. He did it. You know what I'm saying? How was it we?
What pyramids are we building today?
Hey,
yeah, it's like, we're taking credit for people who doesn't even have a direct blood lineage to us, right? Even if they are quote black, and we're trying to lay claim for we did that. It's like Al Bundy, bragging about how many touchdowns he had, back when he was in high school. It's irrelevant till now. You're a shoe salesman now.
Damn, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, Zoe, you're on a podcast and nobody watches, espousing doctrines that nobody believes. That's what you're doing right now.
Okay, we there.
You didn't build the pyramids. And so I say this because the arrogance that this guy has, and he thinks he's cooking. That's what's crazy about it. We got hot heat. he thinks he's cooking, but the reality of it is, this doesn't make any sense. You sound dumb to smart people. You only sound smart to dumb people.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it.
His own hype man. He brought a Gwitty with him.
Yeah, and the biggest takeaway I have from this, and what the person I'm most ashamed of on that panel is that white man.
Because we don't believe you. We need more people.
We know you know better, white man, sitting on that panel. And you letting these black guys say this idiot thing.
Hey, he got paid. That's what I'm saying. I was gonna be in my closing statements, but notice that a lot of these dudes that we talk to, a lot of these dudes don't set themselves up to espouse these beliefs or these philosophies with anyone that will oppose them, with anyone that will offer up any sort of question, even if it's not opposing. If we just sat on this panel and asked why, ask for clarification on some of the statements that we have, his whole argument would fall apart. Because he would have to go below surface deep on some of these philosophies, and they wouldn't make sense. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think any of us on here have put any real mental or intellectual effort into disproving some of these things that he's saying. Like, we have talked to Umar. This guy is just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, are you? It's again, it's not knocking. He can believe whatever he wants. I'm not against that. You can believe whatever you want to, audience, but don't believe it because, again, someone told you to believe it. Don't believe it because somebody made it sound good, and like, believe it because you actually understand it. Gain knowledge for understanding, not just ask why for understanding, not to ask why. Because it's very easy to be misled, and charlatans like Zoe Williams are counting on your ignorance, are counting on your on your, I won't say inability, but your likeliness to not go do the research because you already on that bandwagon. This man just standing up at the front of this bandwagon saying the things that he wants to say, and everybody's already on it. Just like, yeah, nobody's like, wait a minute, can you expound upon that?
Yeah, anybody out there, all the folks out there, if y'all have any connection to him, send this over to him, because we would definitely love to have him come on and explain some of his beliefs and really have a good back and forth on that. Not for the purposes of making anybody look dumb or stupid or for any kind of beef, but more so to encourage good conversation and the intellectual discourse so that everybody can be enriched by it.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he's given sound bites in short form that if he had a little bit more time to elucidate, maybe he could
more time. It's 2.5 hours. No,
we got time.
Come on, bro, we got time. Yeah, but man, but how much?
He's having preachers up there telling Reverend Ribshack telling us that Egypt is not a part of Africa. And this fool got a PhD behind his name. Stop worshiping the God that enslaved you. How about it? Give it a chance. See what can come out of it.
Hey,
I know. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I just want to say, man, that's my final thought, and I love you all, but we got to do better. We got to study. We got to show ourselves approved. We can't accept anything that everybody says. We got to challenge everything. We got to challenge the pastor. If your pastor don't speak the language of the Bible, and I'm not talking about King James, if he doesn't speak Amharic, if he doesn't speak Aramaic, if he doesn't speak Ashuric, if he doesn't speak Arabic, Greek, Latin, if he don't know the word, he don't know the word. He don't know. He just know how to behave in a reverend-like way. Ah, Jesus. That's money. That equals bread.
Pause.
We got to do different.
I do agree with them in the fact that a lot of the hooping and hollering that we experience in the local church is just fluff. Not a lot of substance behind it.
Theatrics.
It's theatrics. And and the thing is, I think all of us are critics of sophistry wherever we might find it. At our jobs and in basketball, watching the NFL, at a church, it doesn't matter where it is. We're not treating Zoe any different than we treat our own selves. And the whole point and me bringing that up is to say that this is not a hit job. I can agree with him about that. There's a lot of that in the church and everywhere else, not just the church. But that doesn't mean that the doctrine itself is wrong. So a lot of things he's saying is he's using the genetic fallacy. Don't worship the God that enslaved you. God didn't enslave the slaves around the world. Again, I keep on bringing up, we think about, black people tend to think of slavery just in the context of America, not realizing slavery is still happening today, and we don't really seem to care that much about it. We keep on living our lives. And slavery's happened around the world historically. We just only care about the ones that have people that look like us within more recent history. But just keep that in mind when you listen to this guy, y'all. He's using fallacious forms of argumentation, genetic fallacy right there. Don't worship the God that enslaved you. God didn't enslave you. Just because the slave masters used the Bible doesn't make the Bible bad. Just like if I use, a billy club as a corrupt police officer to beat up somebody, doesn't make a billy club bad. It's a tool. So I just wanted to speak to that point real quick for everybody to be able to hear that, because this guy's sophistry is mind-numbing.
Not in a good way either.
We got to do different. We got to be fearless. With that said, that's my final thought. I'm sorry. I'm just turned up right now. Let me do this real quick. Everybody around the table, I want everybody to tell everybody where they at. Starting with Phil. Dr. Phil Valentine, can you please tell people how to connect with you?
You want to stop it right there? Well,
Yeah.
Closing statements. I'll kick it off.
All right.
So everybody, I appreciate everybody tuning into the show today. It's been, we finally concluded this God fraud. Hopefully we do something next time for some Black History Month stuff, even though this was Black History related for sure. I want everybody to understand again, sophistry versus sound reasoning. Sophistry versus being logical and reasonable. This guy is saying a lot of points that just meant to shock you. Because if you're an uninformed, nominal Christian and your understanding of the Bible and Christianity and religion is very rudimentary, then yeah, this guy who's taking the time to look into things, he's going to say things that's going to go against your preconceived ideas about what it is that you claim to believe.
Feel the ignorance.
That's in no way a disproof of your religion. It just shows where you're lacking in your understanding. So I'm gonna conclude it right there, Vulcan. We're here to help everybody understand what logic and critical thinking sounds like and what sophistry sounds like. And you heard it first here today on the God Fraud. Another example.
Yes. Again, this is Enos, man. Glad for y'all to tune in with us. And this is why we wanted to build this platform. So, this is an area where we got a high tolerance for dissenting views. So a lot of platforms or a lot of spaces are not able or not willing to really talk about these different spiritual beliefs, man. But we are. So like I said in the beginning, join us as this is a journey, man, of discovery. And let's just spend our minds together, man, including Zoe. You're welcome to come on and actually defend a lot of your talking points, man. So, yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, facts.
Listen, guys, I just want to point out again, as I always do, the disclaimer, like my brethren have already said, this is not a hit job, man. This is not us going against Zoe Williams, the person. I don't know the man. I don't have a problem with him outside of the fact that he's not using logic and reasoning when he's espousing these beliefs. Again, he's counting on the ignorance of the masses. He's counting on the fact that nobody's going to go research and look at what he said. He's bandwagon fallacy. He's using a lot of false equivalencies where he's lining things up with religion or with religion as the root cause, when really the root cause is human nature. This is the reason that we're going through this stuff. We're giving you guys the tools. We are giving you guys tools to go through and analyze what these people are saying and decide from a place of logic and reasoning whether or not you want to rock with what they're saying. We are just here to hold people accountable for what they say. I've done it to myself. My brothers have done it to me. I did it to Enos earlier in this call. Right? This is not. That wasn't. With the Batman quote. We still got the point. We understood the point. We understood the message that came with the quote. But there is a form of accountability that should come when you have a platform and you are speaking to the masses. And that's what we're here to do, man. We're just here to shine a spotlight on these things, give you guys the tools to have your own spotlight, to investigate these claims and these causes and these philosophies that people are pushing. We always ask, just analyzing, man. Listen to what these people are actually saying. Appreciate y'all for coming out.
All right. And tune in to next time, y'all.
Like, comment, and subscribe.